morning, everybody. So we're going to get started with this short little break video for some of y'all who are on like a 15-minute break while working out. We're going to get started here. We'll talk about why the 9 to 5 job is worse than you think it is. Okay? I want to get a plan in here, some leaves here going. Why the 9 to 5 job is worse than you think it is. We're going to wait till we get a couple more people in here. I think I'm going to like some lavender. I got some lavender going. We got one person in here. So when we get a couple more people, we're going to start. Hi, Jaws Work. Jaws World. I hope I said your name right. So I tried to do this video series before and YouTube silenced the videos, y'all. I did a video talking about how the government uses the community, all of them have been silenced. So I don't know how long this video is going to be up. Over the last 5 years, old videos talking about the 9 to 5 job or how society keep us broke. The videos are being silenced or blocked because YouTube, some of the mods don't want us talking about it. And that's sad that we don't have freedom of speech when we're talking about 9 to 5 job. So I don't know how long this video is going to be up, y'all, okay? So try to watch the whole video. The 9 to 5 job is worse than you think because it totally disarms your divine timing. Okay? You can't even have a religion when you're working a 9 to 5 job. It's illusion making you think you can. The 9 to 5 job will tell you you can look religious, you can wear your hijabs or whatever, but your time is the time we give you. So even if you did try to be religious, you would never be able to follow the scriptures if the employer don't say you can. So let's say your scriptures say you went to church and the minister told you you need 2 days rest to pray, maybe go in the temple and pray 2 days because what you're going through. The 9 to 5 job employer will tell you no, like we got a quota. Do you know that every single 9 to 5 job has a quota? They just will tell you that they don't. They have a quota based upon how much the CEO expects to profit a year compared to how much they profited the year before. Now, they may not tell you you have to produce a certain amount, but they want that department that you're in to produce a certain amount as a whole. Otherwise, they start laying people off. So you cannot even produce what your energy can produce. You have to be able to produce what they say. So it doesn't matter if you're sick, grieving, whatever. You still have to produce what they say. What this does, it puts you in such a burnout that at some point you don't even know you have. It's like you can have a fried pan and the pan been fried so long that it's just that type of pan. And there's people who left 9 to 5 jobs like I did, and it literally took at least 5 years for me to stop feeling fried. That means I was pretty far gone energetically. So even if you do leave your 9 to 5 job, who knows how long it will take for you to deprogram yourself from that employer's program and for you to heal whatever chakras they enslaved. Okay, they're slaving certain chakras of yours and they're purposely picking them through assessing your energy. When they do evaluations, they are also assessing your energy. And if they say, well, I was able to get you real passionate and fired up about this job, then that's the chakra that they're slaving. Like they might slave the heart chakra or the chakra of fire or amber or orange. And this is why, and they often will slave that chakra. And this is why when you get off of work, you can't work out. You don't go nowhere. You don't have the energy to travel. See, back in the 90s, the employers wasn't so cracking the whip like they are now. That's why when we got off of work, we were still able to go out for drinks and dancing and do fun things and do some fun stuff or things we wanted to do on the weekends. We still had energy. But the more this country became money hungry through paranoid employers, the employers are more paranoid than you because they are in much larger debt than you are. They are owing all kind of people money. Some of them own loan sharks money. So they come harder at you because of what they owe. Okay? And so they live in paranoia about losing their company. And this started to happen when some of these corporations got old and they did not pay off their debts. Like old businesses like in America, 7-Eleven. Okay? Businesses have been around a long time like Victoria's Secret. You know, dude, y'all know that Victoria's Secret was actually connected to Jeffrey Weinstein? Like the guy that was doing Victoria's Secrets was literally doing Ponzi scams with Jeffrey Weinstein. So that company was doing crooked stuff, was involved in some crooked stuff at one point, and I think they got audited. The guy who was designing for Victoria's Secrets with his Ponzi scamming, they got audited, so that's why they had to pay. But I don't think they were able to pay, and that's why they went bankrupt, and that's why there's a lot of Victoria's Secrets that have closed down. So what I'm saying is, hi everybody, what I'm saying is the employers are the slavery is being passed down to you. The employers are being slaved by their bad decisions, so they're slaving you. Now here's what happens as well. The lessons you were supposed to learn to prepare you to do your destiny, you don't learn them because you're doing the employer's program over and over and over again. We have a lot of people insane because of the redundancy of the slave work. See, manifestation requires redundancy, and the employers know this. So this is why they give you very little time to do redundancy in anything else. They want to make sure that the most redundancy you're doing, at least 80% redundancy, is the work that they assign to you. So this is why it's like almost impossible to manifest anything else. Your brain will always cling to what has become extremely familiar in redundancies. Okay, I'm breaking it down, y'all. Hi, everybody. This is why people say, well, I feel blocked by the devil. I left my 9-to-5 job and I'm like, I feel good, but it's like I got anxiety trying to achieve something else because their program has been in you. The longer it has been in your mind, the stronger it is, the more your mind will fight for it energetically, even if it was toxic, because it's familiar and you did it so many times. This is why people, you talk to people who have 9-to-5 jobs, if you ever notice, they give what people call today a feeling of being an agent. People say, oh, they feel like an agent because they're not in control of their mind. It's not that they're a bad person. We have a world of hollow people. There's a poet who wrote a famous poem called The Hollow Men. He talks about this. We get hollowed out because we're under control. by the time we go home, we can only do what the employer do. Eat, sleep, go to the bathroom. He's doing that too. That's all you pretty much have left. And then if you do schedule off, time off, the employer will make a plan so that whatever you did in your time off does not dominate your mind. The employer will make sure you have a lot of work when you come back to work you to death so that the redundancy of his manifestation gets the strength it had before you went on vacation. This is why vacations don't work when you have a 9-to-5 job. Hi, everybody. Anybody else understanding what I'm saying? So the vacations when you work a 9-to-5 job, it's only to give you the feeling of, oh, my body got some rest. I got a little mental rest. But it doesn't permanently give you some detachment from the employer's work. It doesn't. Because he's going to make sure that attachment gets strong again when you come back. This is why people who go on vacation, it's almost like they're trying to get a little taste of who they were before they got a 9-to-5 job. Now, I know somebody say, I got a 9-to-5 job I enjoy. But you're enjoying it because you're not being harassed and slaved out. But how can you enjoy it when you don't have the power to decide when enough is enough? When you don't have the power to decide enough is enough, you're living in delusions of that being enjoyable. What you have decided is to just accept that this person's controlling you. And because you accepted it, you're not going up against it, so you're relating it to enjoyment. No one can control the creator. So what makes you think that the creator wants you in such a controlled environment? Where you don't get to decide when you get off. You don't get to decide when you've worked enough. You don't get to decide that. Now, I know people are saying, well, that's a new type of violence against yourself where you always get to decide. But if we are trained, it's not violence against ourselves. It's not spiritual violence against ourselves. If we are trained to make it energy-based, not mental-based, energy-based. Like, I cannot do any more work because my energy is feeling anxiety at this point. So I have to stop. I am pushing myself to come to the job this week. So I need a break. I'm pushing my energy. I'm using energy drinks. I'm using all kind of energy supplements. I need a break. That is when it's not violence against yourself, spiritual violence against yourself that you're doing. That's when you're not doing that. But saying I don't want to do it anymore because I'm just sick of it, no, that would be psychological violence against yourself with deciding not to do it. But I'm getting into the one Asian dude's book deeply, understanding why his book is relevant and not relevant about a society of free will is causing violence against himself. It's only when you're using it just because of mental and laziness and not because of energy does it become violence against yourself. But the employer does not care about either. The employer does not care about your energy or your mental health. It doesn't. Okay? You're not born in the family of the most of these employers. They don't know what you've gone through and they don't care. So you're working somewhere where this person don't care about your energy or mental health. So what can you do? If you go to your employer and be like, my mental health is struggling, I need a couple days off. I'm stressed, my anxiety, fatigue is real high. They're not going to care. They may say take a PTO day off, but still they gave you the PTO. And you can still get a strike against your work record for taking a PTO. PTO time does not protect you from getting fired. It's actually when your PTO time is used, they keep track of how often you do your PTO and whether or not they need to give you a warning. So it's always a job risk to take PTO time off. And when you take sick time off, they will literally evaluate you when you come back and check on you. And if they think you're not sick, even when you're sick, you still get a strike on your evaluation. They may not let you know, but then you're on watch of whether they need to fire you. Now, here's the thing. If you're doing the 9 to 5 job all the time, where are you making money elsewhere to cover your life if the boss decides to use fire at will? See what I'm saying? You have no energy. You have no energy to make money, as much money as you're making at that 9 to 5 job, just in case they fire you. Can you run on 2 hours of sleep every day? Because that's pretty much what you'll get if you're working a side hustle, trying to make as much money off the side hustle as you're making off your 9 to 5 job to cover your bills. Okay, you'd be working your side hustle 30 hours and your 9 to 5 job 40 hours. So you're basically getting less than 5 hours of sleep overall after showering, eating, cleaning, or whatever. No one can run on that. Do you know that literally, if you go without sleep too long, at some point you may get trapped where you're not in the other world or this world. You're kind of stuck in the in-between. And this is what happened to some people who are in institutions. Some of the people in institutions were workaholics, y'all. This is the realest video. At some point, even if you get on medication, there's people that get on medication because they're workaholics. Do you realize as you start to come off as you're getting better on the job and your mental health is getting better, then the employer uses you even more. Oh, they don't have to worry about you making a scene because your mental health. They don't have to worry about that because you're on medication. They will literally send you to a doctor to just get medication so you can keep being a good workaholic. They will have you see their company therapist, their company counselor. They will say, I'm willing to pay for your insurance for you to get mental help. And then you get the mental help and they don't stop what they're doing. So you're getting nowhere. Every time you just hit the wall. And then, okay, let's say you say, well, I got injured at a job. Wow, I literally get time off from this job because I got injured. Let me tell you, they will literally see how long you need that disability working compensation. And if you're gone too long and they've lost money, they can still fire you. The fire at will applies at any given time. And their lawyers are better than yours. So even if you go to take them to court for, they fired me doing disability, I was gone off for 30 days, and they say that was their business was struggling without me, their lawyers will say they got fired at will. They literally will find something on you to use an excuse for firing you. They will say, I didn't fire you because you're off from workman's compensation. I fired you because of the previous warnings that I gave you, even without telling you, for using too much PTO or using too much sick time or coming in late or we had some complaints, even though you never see these complaints. 9 to 5 job is one big shakedown. Okay, it's like you might as well just go back and live in Harlem in the old times, okay, where you might catch a bullet out of nowhere. It's literally that risky. It no longer even pays you enough to sleep peacefully. Doctors aren't even getting paid enough to pay off their student loans. I know you think, well, engineering and doctor. No, Why do you think the doctors now are like, oh, I'm marrying another doctor or I'm marrying another engineer? Because they know that the extra income that they should have made being a doctor, they would have to get that from another partner who's in the same field. That's why doctors don't normally marry people that doesn't make as much money as them, because they're struggling too. And I'm not saying they're chasing money, but they don't see the point of getting any more struggling when they're paying off $200,000 student loans. They don't see the point of of doting on a woman and spending all kind of money on a woman, and they got a $200,000 loan, and all they can get is a residency. When you see these doctors that are living all good right now, if you ever ask them how old they are, they're like in their 60s. They're baby boomer doctors. So that's why they're able to live the way they live. So saying I'm going to go get a big engineer and a doctor, that doesn't even work. My brother is a certified computer engineer. He has a master's degree in journalism. And in order to make it in Georgia pays more money, work 9 to 5 money than Pennsylvania do. He went somewhere else that pays more, and still, he had to sell bottled water on the street. This is realist talk. My brother had to sell bottled water on the street to get the rest of his down payment on an apartment. And he wasn't even living fancy. He had a roommate. This is a guy with a computer engineering degree, a master's degree in journalism, extremely high IQ. My brother's basically a genius, and he's a gifted master artist. Where his paintings used to sell. He had a lot of recognition in it and all that. And he had to get a roommate, and he had to sell bottled waters on the street. Him and his friend, okay, who graduated from high school with 4.0s in degrees, was selling bottled water on the street in Georgia just to scrap up $600 to pay for 2 months rent. This is just how wild it is, okay? So the 9 to 5 job is actually supposed to be plan B. It is not supposed to be your number one job. It was never supposed to be that way. Our ancestors, let me tell y'all, our ancestors always controlled their food source. What they ate, when they ate. Our ancestors would eat through the day at times. How can you eat through the day if you're working a 9 to 5 job? How can you fast if you're working a 9 to 5 job and dealing with toxic customers, clients, toxic coworkers, toxic employers, and their wives coming in being toxic, because they allow that in America too? We can't fast here. America's obesity, if you ever notice, we have all these people working in America, but we have one of the biggest obesity rates. How is that possible? Because the 9 to 5 job jacks up your cortisol. If you leave your 9 to 5 job, I'm telling you no lie, and you literally live like our ancestors, within 2 years you will drop that weight, because I did it. When I resigned from the ultimate 9 to 5 job, I had the 401k, I had all the health insurance you can imagine. I had a $200,000 life insurance just on me, $100,000 on my husband, and $50,000 on my daughter. Paid. If they died, I would have been sitting on money. If I died, they would have been sitting on money. The point is, I glamorized it. I glamorized it until something happened where my dad died. Okay, when my stepdad died, something shifted in me. When I had friends tell me, you don't get your nails done anymore. You used to be athletic. You didn't get fat. I had friends tell me the truth. One of my athletic friends said, you didn't get fat. You don't do your nails. You don't, I don't even see you. You don't go dancing anymore, nothing. And then my dad died. And here's what happened. I could not remember really many memories with him over 5 years. I tried to remember any good memories with him in my 30s, and I couldn't. And that like crushed me because he was my favorite person. Okay, he was one of my favorite people in this world. But as soon as I decided to leap into the 9 to 5 job and glamorize it, I breadcrumbed him. It wasn't like I was doing it on purpose. But see, when you're working for a narcissistic employer, you will become a flying monkey. Now, I'm keeping it real. You will become a flying monkey. I was a flying monkey. I was always squeezing people into my time. Oh, we'll go to the park for 30 minutes on the way home. It was a lot of squeezing people in. You can always get another 9 to 5 job. You can always get some kind of job. But you cannot replace people. This is a serious thing. Older people die. When people get over 40, they might drop dead or get surgeries and die. And you can't get them back. And when I decided no longer to glamorize a 9 to 5 job because I felt totally like crap, that I couldn't remember much in my 30s with my stepdad. And I can remember him literally saying to me when I went on my little 9 to 5 job 3-day vacation. I can remember him saying to me, why don't you stay a little longer? Because I had stopped over and saw him for 30 minutes. Notice I squeezed him in on the way to go on my vacation. He said, why don't you stay a little longer? I don't see you anymore. And I said, oh, I'll try to see you when I come back. That's what I said. And he died that night. Just sudden death, heart attack in the hospital when there was no doctors or nurses in the room. And he was in there for just a biopsy. Something that shouldn't even, whatever. But somehow he felt some pain and his heart failed. But the point that I'm making is that was a wake-up call to me. That's when I started going harder. I literally resigned from my 9 to 5 job. And I started working temp jobs there on out. Now, I know what y'all saying. But how can I take care of myself? Let me tell you something. Back in them days, you could still take care of yourself with a temp job because they wasn't really screening your part-time income like they're doing now. Okay, there was a lot of things you could get for free, a lot of free help, and it wasn't all this checking into your income. But see, these employers, they done got some sort of connection with the government now where it's like, okay, we want to make sure that you're at a real low income point before we will give you free health services. Or you must be an immigrant. Doesn't matter if you're legal. You must be an immigrant to get it for free. So now this government has gotten even more tricky because it's in cahoots. It's in cahoots with the employers. If you think it's not, it is. Okay? Why you think that they can raise their prices soon as the work pay go up? Why do you think they can put hidden sugars in our food and they don't get in trouble by the health department? So at this point, you would have to live really under your means and work a 9 to 5 job part-time to escape the race so you could have a side hustle and put all your energy into that. Most of your energy into that. But here's the thing. We're living in a society now where it's literally jealousy of humble living. People are jealous of people who are living humbly, who have the courage to do it, who have the courage to live a lot under their means. So what's happening is people are like, oh, I'm not going to tell you about the resources because I'm jealous that you're willing to live humble, that you're not chasing a $500 car note, that you're not chasing a $700 mortgage payment every 2 weeks or whatever. So I'm not going to tell you the resources. This is why you cannot count on other people now to help you if you're not doing a 9 to 5 job. You literally have to go to the municipal building and get the resources. You would literally have to look in the paper. You would have to basically we're like in the 1800s again, where people just walk past the homeless people. Where if you were humble living, you weren't included in society anymore. You were a problem in society. You needed to join the slave gang in 9 to 5, or you're a problem. This is like the 1800s again, with the Great Depression and all of that, and and all of that going on. So at this point, y'all, to escape that 9 to 5 job, you would have no choice but to live mostly as a stoic. You literally have no choice. There's no other way around it unless you can somehow get rich or get one-hit wonder. Now, let's get into that. All it takes is one hit. And I remember my producer friend was telling me this. These employers know this. That's why they're trying not to give you enough time. They don't even want you to have 2 hours free out of your day so you can get that one-hit wonder, that one best-selling book, that one download that gets you enough money to put away so that you can live as a stoic or live comfortably for the rest of the last 30 years of your life if you're middle-aged. They purposely have it set that way. If you're able to put 4 sessions, 20-minute sessions aside for a amazing idea that you have, and you literally do that through a season, by the time the next new moon come and you put that out there, and when people are shopping again, shopping a lot, you're gonna be successful. But employers know this. They want you to work on their download and their idea. They want you to work on theirs. So they're not leaving you enough time. And they know how much time you need because they know how much time they're using. They know that when you're at work, they're at home, sitting in the first 3 hours of their day, working on a new idea and plan to get more money. Looking at the stock report, looking at what items are selling the most according to the stocks. They're looking at all that while you're slaving on an old idea of theirs. See what I'm saying? But as soon as you go to decide, I'm going to put time aside and lower my hours on a job, and you already been there full time, they're going to want to get rid of you then because they're going to know what you're doing. Even if you say, hey, employer, I could only work 4 days a week now, 1 to 11. That's it. They're going to know what you're doing, okay? So you have to actually start off a new job where you have set those hours from the start and you have set your weekdays, okay? Now, here's the thing. Even if you do that, it doesn't matter as much if it's not a job that's in alignment with you want to do. So even if I apply for a job and I say, I'm only going to work 1 to 11, and so I can write my book from 10 to 12, and I'm only going to work 4 days a week so I can have 3 days to do a little mini writing retreat to work all on my book. Even if I do that, that job must be very, very much of who I am. Otherwise, it's still going to get in the way of my writing time, my writing energy. So, for example, when Charles Bukowski was working at the post office, he was constantly using his hands. He knew that he wasn't going to be able to write and do the post office stuff at the same time. That's why he quit. So basically, you would need to get a job that would energetically support whatever you're doing off the job. So like, for example, I know a guy who's into fitness and he's all ripped, but his job that he does actually helps him to get ripped. His job actually supports it. Okay? So not only is he attracting clients to his fitness dream, but he's making money on this 9 to 5 job as well. So the employer and him is getting it. both getting it. Now here's the thing. He started doing this under the table, and somebody got jealous and reported his income. So you see what I'm saying? Now we're living in a society that if you did work an off the book 9 to 5 job where you're kind of working under the table and it's benefiting your side hustle too, you run the risk of someone noticing who's jealous. So they report you then. Back in the old days, this didn't happen. People pretty much was like, well, they get caught by the law. I don't want to have nothing to do with this. I don't want nothing to do with it. So if you try to do it under the table, if the benefits is looking too abundant, you better be ready to deal with the IRS at some point. Okay? Because the agent people who are afraid to leave the 9 to 5 job for a while, they are watching to see if you're getting ahead of them without doing what they're doing. They're watching to see, and they're going to find out what you're doing under the table and how many different ways you benefit from it, and then they go ahead and make an anonymous call. So here's another thing. If you're going to do it that way, where you're like, okay, I'm going to work a 9 to 5 job, and I'm going to have a side hustle, under the table side hustle is benefiting also from my 9 to 5 job work. Both is benefiting. You would have to actually live in a community of pretty much old retired people who never come out. You wouldn't be able to live in a community with people that's your age because they might snitch or tell, do research on you. You would probably need to make it so that really nobody knows what you're doing. You would have to make sure your side hustle is not in your community. My friend made the mistake of doing his side hustle in his community, and basically other men were noticing that his fitness was benefiting along with his car business, and basically people started trying to stop his business. They were getting disrespectful and toxic, purposely trying to block it. It was the men who were hooked on the 9 to 5 jobs only. Okay? So, there's only one other option. You must give the illusion like you're not benefiting from it. You must hide the abundance. This means the first 5 years that you're doing a side hustle that's benefiting from your part-time 9 to 5 job, it needs to look like you're not. This means you don't buy anything new really. You still live as if you don't have a 9 to 5 job. Okay? Whenever you start a new job and your community starts to figure out that you did, they're also monitoring if you're possibly getting any extra income, if it looks like you're living above your 9 to 5 job overall paycheck that they know you're probably making. They're looking to see all that. So you would have to look like you don't have a side hustle. My friend, he didn't do that. He was wearing expensive shoes, fancy clothes. He was getting on fancy. So it was kind of getting obvious that he was making a lot of money under the table from his side hustle while going to his garbage collecting job. So basically the garbage collector started being toxic and disrespectful to him, his co-workers. So they were seeing that he was kind of cornering his financial dream, that it was becoming abundant in many different ways. So they started creating problems for him on his job. He did not stick with the illusion of looking like someone that's living off welfare while working 9 to 5 job. Do you see what I'm saying? I was watching a movie last night, and the guy was telling the two guys, he was like, yeah, we found this gold, but we can't go spending it. We got, for at least, he said, for some years, we need to be like, we don't got this gold. And I came to understand why, because a lot of people are racing against you, whether you know or not. Okay, a lot of your neighbors are competing. So you have to look like that there's no way you're winning. You know, they can't access your bank account. So they can only access what they see and how you acting. I find out as well that whenever you find a 9 to 5 job that does allow you to work part time and pick your own hours, you don't tell nobody. You don't tell nobody. If anything, you make people think off the job that you don't have no say. What you whining about, Hansi? So you don't tell family members and things like and other people, oh yeah, I got this job, my employer allows me to pick my hours, and don't say that. I'm telling you no lie. You're gonna find you're gonna find that people start being toxic towards you. Okay? Who's out there? Hold on, y'all. I don't know who's out there. What are you saying, bye-bye? Ain't nobody out there. Must be a spirit. Hansi keep on saying something at the door and there's nothing here. You see a spirit at the door? Yeah. I shut the door because I don't open the door when there's spirits there. Animals, cats can see spirits. Yeah, you saw something here? I shut the door, bye-bye. So, yeah. Never ever share your 9 to 5 job that allows you to control your time. Um, do you know that that's like a special gift from an employer? If you ever work a job and your coworkers are allowed to determine their work schedule and all that, and you notice the boss ain't allowing you, you might as well just pack up and go. Okay? That means the boss want them to have multiple streams of income. The boss don't care if they have multiple streams of income, but the boss don't want you to. These bosses know they're not paying you enough. They know how much the rent is according to where you live. When they decide to pay you, they're already looking into that. When you say you live in a certain neighborhood, they know what the job market is like there. They know what the conditions are. So they know if they make certain decisions that can allow you to do side hustles, they know that would be a gift according to your situation. They know that. Now, sometimes they'll give you a little gift where they'll say, oh, you get to pick your hours this month. If they see you're living in a government housing, they want you to think that they really care about you. They'll have that little moment out of the year where I really care about you. I bought you some pizza. We have a little pizza party. But go to them and just randomly through the year say, my mental health, I can't take it anymore. And you'll notice their energy completely change. I'll never forget when I got a warning for taking 2 PTO days in 1 year, for taking 2 PTO days, and I literally only took a 2-day vacation that year. Because I was their cash cow. See, you can glorify becoming their cash cow. Oh, they're the ones that always say you do so good. They love your work. Everybody loves you. But what does that even matter to you if they don't give you bonuses? And most of these employers don't give you bonuses without slaving your energy even more every time to get the next bonus, and the next bonus you got to work harder and harder than the last time. So it makes no sense even to get bonuses. If you nail everything this time and get a bonus, they're going to expect you to do your work and someone else's work next time to get the next bonus. You're just in a race and you're never ever getting to the big cheese where you can feel like you can retire in 20 years. They're making sure you don't get there because they don't want to rehire. Rehiring costs them money. They don't want to rehire until they decided to fire you. And when they decided to fire you, it's because they already can replace you. It's because they already found someone that's not going to cost them a lot of money to replace you with them. They're not winging it and firing you. But they really want to avoid that if you've been at the company for years. But they never want you to feel that you can resign. Why do you think that the 401k plans is connected to the stocks? Like if the 401 company loses money, you lose this money in your 401. Why do you think it's like that? If they can't afford to pay you, if they say I can't afford to pay you on your 401, there's literally nothing you can do because you gave them the power over your money. So basically, there's no guarantee. Even if you get a 401, you're saying, oh, I've been here 20 years. I got like 50,000 in my 401. When you cash out, most of the time, it will not even be that amount. They're going to make sure they find a way to punish you for even thinking of cashing out your 401 to add to whatever savings that you have for retirement. These are videos that the young people need to be listening to. 9-to-5 job is literally just to help you keep food on the table, essential needs. Look at it like I'm at this 9-to-5 job for essential needs. I'm not at this 9-to-5 job for my dream, my dream mostly, because if they cut off the money, my dream is going to come to a screeching halt. So no, I need to make money on the side to fund my dream, just in case I can't do this 9-to-5 job. And at least if I have something on the side to fund my dream, at least I could be able to pay to stay in a motel room for a couple days before I could get a government housing, emergency housing, and all of that, and I can still get around to get to the food banks and stuff or whatever. But they don't care about firing you and you literally become homeless in 30 days. They don't care. That should scare you. That should scare you that you're working for a complete stranger. Most of us are, and they don't care if you literally end up on the street in 30 days. But you have to do something in which it's you to say, I care, and whether I don't care. And it is my side hustle. My side hustle is in case this damn employer does something trifling and fire me out of nowhere, I got hotel money. I can get me a ticket to go live with my auntie. I can buy me a plane ticket and go move in with a friend. I can go ahead and get to the shelter. I could at least pay my car note and sleep in my car. I could go on Craigslist and I can look for a short-term roommate situation and pay my little $300 a month to be somebody's roommate. But I cannot think, I'm never safe at a 9-to-5 job. I'm never safe with a stranger. I don't care if he's paying me. Some of the most dangerous strangers are the ones that act like they care about they y'all in a team together. Like employers want you to think we have family, but they don't care if you need a day off. They secretly saying, do it again, take another day off, and watch I put a strike on your record. See, I worked in management. I was an assistant of a director for years, so I know the shady stuff. I know how they work. Human resources don't even care about you unless you're the most popular employee there. They don't care about you. If the clients wouldn't make a fuss about you, human resources don't care about you. If they know that no one else is going to sign a petition against the workplace abuse, they don't care about you. If they even hear that there are coworkers that don't like you, they don't care about you. If you go to human resources and say, can you move me to a different department? I don't fit in this department. I'm going through a lot. If you don't have nobody to say, to speak for you, somebody that's in upper management, they don't care. They don't care. Because they know you're trying to go somewhere else to have more peace and you want more control over your energy. They know this. So they're not going to move you to a different department because of what you're going through. They're only going to move you to a different department if they think you're going to be more abundant for that department. Human resources are about the money. They have to see the CEO almost monthly when the CEO come through. They care about the money. If you're not already one of their favorite cash cows, they don't care. Exactly. They don't care. They are in cahoots with the CEO and the administrator, the head administrator. They're all sitting around thinking about how they can get their bonuses and raises and promotions. That's what they're about. And they know they can get a promotion if they support the cash cow, but if you're not a cash cow, no. If you got a bunch of people behind you, yeah, okay. They might gain some popularity by supporting you. I've seen people at my job in management that was literally disrespectful and toxic, like totally narcissistic to the 10th degree. But because they had upper management behind them, they were literally untouchable. Because they were friends, they were already friends with the administrators and the head supervisors. They was untouchable. And I used to be like, wow, I guess that's what it's about here. It's like high school. Doesn't matter. It's like just who's your coworker friend on the job. And here's another thing. We were put on this earth for this world to serve us. So we have to make sure that we use the resources that don't cost us no money. And yes, these government resources, some of these people are going to be mad that you're doing it. Some of them, they don't want middle-aged people to get the free resources. They want us to just go and die. Just to get up, like, we want young, strong, where we don't have to give them. We want this, the elderly and the sick and the disabled and the kids to get these resources. We want to give them all to the college kids. Anybody over 40 needs to just lay down and die unless you're an elderly person. If you're not geriatrics, I'm just keeping it real. If you're not in geriatric range, if you can't get AARP, then you need to just go and die because you should have had somebody to take care of you. It's like really, really wow. That's why you see a lot of homeless people between 40 and 60. Thank you very much. Somebody said, I hope you're doing well. If you're between 40 and 60, this government don't want you to have the free resources. They don't. Because they're not really getting much benefit saying they gave it to you. They get nourished and fed by saying they helped the college kid out, or saying they helped the elderly woman out, or they helped the immigrant, or they helped somebody disabled, missing limbs and stuff like that, in a wheelchair. They get nourished and fed by helping those people. But when you're in your 40s and you walk into the food bank, walking up, and you're not on the cane, they don't get nourished and fed. It's sad that nowadays, when people give resources out, it's for narcissistic reasons. It used to be because it was the right thing to do. It was the Christian thing to do. And we're talking about back in the 1800s. Back in them days, it was good. It felt good spirit to do it. to send $400, $500 to the local charity without knowing who the people are that's getting it, what kind of condition they're in. It just felt good to do that. Nowadays, there is no. We're living in times where the religions now are deep demonic. It's devil religion. Christianity has become demonic. It's like I'm assessing if you're really worthy of this energetically in your body and your health. And it's like, I thought that God said, the weak, the sick, the drunk, come on to me and I'll set you free. So why do I have to be sick as the next person or the sickest in the room to get prayed for? Why do I have to be an alcoholic for you to help me? I know alcoholics is living in beautiful condos, beautiful homes, the government's paying for and everything. Their places are laid out, and I've seen this with my own eyes. And you know what it said? They're an alcoholic. They deserve that. But I'm like, I have been a hard-working citizen. I have health problems from being slaved out on 9-to-5 jobs. And I don't qualify for a discount on a condo. I don't qualify. I'm trying to understand that I got to self-torture myself by choice to be able to get some resources for free so I don't have to be a slave like the alcoholics don't have to be. They don't have to slave. They're living up there. They're in Pennsylvania. A lot of them is living up there. I forget what the place is called. Oh, what is the name? It's a city over here, and it's real nice and beautiful homes, beautiful grass. They got beautiful. Some of them got bars in their homes, and I'm like, how's that for? All they ever did was work as a bartender. How are they affording this? They are a bona fide alcoholic and addict, but the system takes care of people who destroy themselves and know they're doing it. But the system doesn't take care of hardworking people. And stop expecting it to do it gladly with a smile on his face. Now, you can argue with these resource centers like I have. But I'm telling you, if you have worked your butt off and you go to get free resources, you need to record the communication to go in there if you're going to have to argue for it. I got in an argument at a resource center because they tried to tell me that I made too much money to get a discount on a $1,000 dental bill. Okay? And my dental happened due to having a disability. I have a vitamin absorption problem, which ruined my teeth. Okay? I had a vitamin absorption problem my whole life and didn't know that my stomach, basically, it doesn't absorb a lot of the vitamins from food. So I was never getting all the vitamins from food. That's why I was always fatigued and tired and sleeping a lot, fainting and passing out. I never knew why. But that's not enough for me to get a discount on my $1,000 dental bill. They try to tell me I made too much money, making only $40,000 a year, and I got a 3-person family. Okay, I'm trying to understand why $40,000 a year is too much money, and 3 people got to eat off that. In an economy, this was a couple years ago, an economy like this, and an economy around COVID. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And I said, I said, no, that's not enough. I literally have a child and a husband. No. I said, no, because I still got to get gynecology. I still got, I got to get major surgery for that. And I literally had COVID. Like, I'm literally recovering from COVID, my medication from COVID too. I was in there like arguing with these people, and I don't know. I guess the one lady, I guess she went and told somebody there, and then when I got back, they said your dental bill has been paid for. It's been covered through our grant program. But I shouldn't have had to raise hell like that. The reason why I had to raise hell like that is because of my age. If I would have walked in there as an immigrant, they would have did that. But I walked in there still an employee with a job during COVID, and I still and they're gonna argue with me because I wasn't the right age and race. So you know what I had to do? I had to go to a all black clinic. This is no lie. I went to an African American owned clinic. They had almost an all black staff, and they were the ones that decided to put me on a grant and cover my dental. But when I went to the other clinic, there was mostly all white employees. I was arguing with them. See what I'm saying? So I'm basically, I have to stay in the black community at the black owned clinics just so I don't argue for any grants or discounts they have available. And this is crazy. If I make just 10,000 on this YouTube channel, suddenly I don't qualify for any discounts. So basically I better be making only $10,000 a year. That's it. That's what all I need to be making in here, or I can't get no help. That is the most ridiculous thing. Some of y'all may not know. Now here's the thing. Thank God that I listened to my intuition and that I decided to be my daughter's house sitter. Okay? I decided to do that so she don't lose her land, because I don't know if y'all know how it works. If a home stay empty too long and it's not being worked on, the state can take it. Okay? The state will come in and they will claim right to that property. That happened to my great aunt's property. She did not turn over the deed to my grandmother. The property sat there so long unkept. The state came in and considered the deed expired, and then took over the family lost a generational apartment building. And so I told my daughter, I said, long as the place is functioning and the things that need fixed, we can actually fix. I'll stay there for you since you want to live with your boyfriend until y'all decide land, because they're buying land. And she said, when we buy that land, then we're going to come and we might sell the house if y'all fixed it enough up or whatever, and we'll give you the money for what you did, or I might just have the place tore down, she said, and then take the land. And I told her, because I don't want a house when I'm old. I don't want to be a 90-year-old person in a house. I want a ranch home, one little flat little condo, and that's it. So she knows I'm not staying here old. I'm not staying here in my 60s. So if I didn't move here, I would be screwed. Like, I would literally be screwed. Okay? Because I would be paying $3,000 in rent in the state of Pennsylvania. If you make $20,000 a year and you're paying $3,000 in rent, and and let's say you're a single person, you do not qualify for any free resources. So let's say you're still making the $20,000 that you made when Bush was in office, because that's what they were paying for desk jobs. Office jobs was making somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. Almost minimum wage. Okay, the fast food places were making less when Bush was in office. Now they're still trying to pay people the same amount they paid people when Bush was in office. They're literally still trying to do that. And they're trying to tell you should be able to afford $3,000 for your first month rent, security deposit, and last month's rent would be $3,000. That's what the landlords are asking now for an apartment that's not roach infested and with rats and bugs. That's what they're asking for. I went on the market. We were thinking about moving already. I said, this is ridiculous. Look at this. For some basic rundown place, they want $3,000 total up front. Now, if you're making $20,000 a year, $25,000 a year, they still consider that, oh, you're in. So you might as well forget about having your dental bill, gynecology, and stuff paid for. Unless you have a child, a small child you're taking care of. And even still, you only get a discount. You will just get discounts. So this is rigged. It's like literally rigged. I literally started my pay stubs from my YouTube channel, and the first year it was monetized. Literally, I only made like $10,000. There was only $40,000 coming through my house, and I was literally told, and I had two other people living here. I was literally told, no, you don't qualify for nothing. I said, this is BS. So my daughter had to get a job as well to cover her expenses for some of her college stuff. Now, keep in mind, thank God that I had other talents to live off, or I would have been screwed. Thank God that I was still able to sell my books. I still had family members who I was their caregiver, when they heard my situation, they hired me as their caregiver. My mother had me as her caregiver, and my friend had me as his jitney for 3 days a week, and he would always tip me real good. If I didn't have those two side hustles going on, all right, I would have been in a real screwed situation. And I know people are saying, well, why didn't you have a job? I did have a job. I was working at 7-Eleven and had YouTube. I tried to find a job in office management here. You can't find that here, because here in Pennsylvania, they don't want brown-skinned women with afro hair in office jobs. Not in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a factory place. They want people here. It's still segregated. They want the black folks in the kitchen and the cooking and the whatever. It doesn't matter if you have a degree. If you go to the hospitals in Pennsylvania, you'll see there's very little black doctors and black nurses there. Okay, the black people, even with the degrees, they're pushed in the kitchen, and they're pushed in fitness jobs where they're working on the floor and picking up behind people, or they're working at housekeeping. So it's not like I didn't have a job. It's just the fact that those jobs are the lowest paid jobs, literally. Okay. And my husband's job, man, I'm telling y'all my story so y'all can understand how real this is. My husband's job, they didn't even up his pay. They didn't even up his pay during COVID. They didn't even up his pay. And he's been at his job 20-something years, and they did not up his pay. That's just how dirty they are. That's just how dirty these employers are. I said, are you kidding me? And then they laid him off during COVID. He was at our company for 20-something years. 20-something years, and he didn't have a job during COVID. I said, you mean to tell me that he couldn't have hired you as their document organizer? He couldn't have had you come through cleaning the cars? You're qualified to do everybody's job here. You're literally head management. I said, they laid you off. They laid you off because it was cheaper to lay you off during COVID. They went and got them some old young person in there that would work for crumbs. And they told you, oh, when COVID cleared, almost cleared, then we'll bring you back in. So they wanted somebody new in there that would work for crumbs to save money so he can keep more money in his pocket and then run back to you as soon as COVID hit. But this is what I'm talking about, y'all. Yeah, they don't want anybody over 40. I type 99 words a minute with 2 mistakes. I know y'all think that's crazy. I didn't take it multiple typing tests. I'm that good. I'm that good with doing inscription, dictation, looking at something and typing it up If you ever hear me do detection, it sounds like this. I'm that good, and they're gonna tell me, "Oh, we want to pay you $8 an hour, or we're gonna put you in the mail room." I'm like, the mail room is paying only $7 an hour. If I wasn't, if I wasn't somebody that was mostly stoic, if I wasn't raised almost Amish, because I was raised like almost modern Amish. I was almost Amish when I grew up. If I wasn't raised as a minimalist most of all, I would not have made it through COVID. Okay? Because that's how dirty Pennsylvania employers are here. And even when, okay, for example, when I had my baby here, okay, I had a nice job or whatever. I was pregnant. I was working in a fitness center in an office desk. I was 25 years old, pregnant. They wouldn't give me no maternity leave. I said, all I want is like 3 months, but the last 2 months, because I'm high risk pregnancy, I don't want to lose my baby. And I want a month off after I had the baby. They wouldn't even give it to me. I was like, wow, it's like that. It's like that. I'm catching 2 buses to get to this $7 an hour job, and you can't even give me maternity leave. And I'm willing to keep doing this $7 an hour job with no perks, nothing. I'm sitting at this desk. I'm shopping for people in the store. I'm making their coffee. I'm doing all their accounting. I'm signing them all in, managing all the money. You got me doing every kind of job in the world in here. For $7 an hour, you cannot give me maternity leave. When I see that they were not going to let me have time off just to birth my baby. When I got up to 5 months, I had to walk off the job. I had to just walk off and be like, F it. They don't care about me. I did at least a year with this company. They don't care about me. So I just left. And whatever was in my bank account, now my husband, I ain't gonna lie. At that time, according to the economy with his income, he was able to take care of all 3 of us. So, but then I still had side hustles. Notice I'm telling y'all the whole time. I still went back to my side hustles. So I was doing caregiving for my stepfather at the time. I was his caregiver through, I think it was Community Life or whatever I was in. And so that gave me some little part-time money for our baby, to help out a little bit. But then once my daughter got a little older, preteen, I said, when she was kindergarten, I said, I'm gonna go back to work. And that's when I got into that corporate job. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and do corporate. I'm gonna try to get in corporate. And that backfired in my face. When I cashed out my 401, they took $500 of my 401. I tried to dispute, and I was told right away, you're gonna lose. Because there's no clause in the 401 that says if they lose money, you still get your money. So if the 401 companies start to struggle, whatever's under, then you struggle too. You basically bail them out. Minimalism is the only way down. There's no way out of it. There's no way around it. Even celebrities know this. Why do you think that Jennifer Lopez started selling off things in her house? She had an auction sale for her art and things that she wasn't using anymore and stuff. Oprah, it was about 10 years ago, right when things started to get bad. Oprah sold all her shoes. She had a big sale, and so did Tyra Banks. Because we got to understand, celebrities are in way more debt than we are, and they're still under contracts. So that's why a lot of them are living as minimalists. It's just an illusion making you think they're not by how they're dressing. But it's like when I look at Oprah, I'm like, do anybody ever notice that Oprah dresses pretty under her income range? Like she's way under her income the way she dressed. That woman being like plain t-shirts and plain pants, hiking and stuff. She really doesn't spend much money, and she also does a lot of the cooking for her boyfriend. So she doesn't even have a. Oprah doesn't even really pay for cooks. So the point that I'm making is we might as well just quit trying to get rich, thinking the 9 to 5 job is going to do it. What we all need to be doing is striving for that one hit. That's it. That is it. You know, that one hit. When you get that one amazing idea, make sure that you put your time in for that and you do all you can to market it. That's what they were about in the 1800s. That's why it was the 1800s to the 1900s. It was like glamour. A lot of people were getting rich because they would come up with one idea that was good and they would just stick with it. And no matter even if they worked as servants, they would do that. Don't surrender your talent for 9 to 5 job. I can't begin to tell y'all how I quit some things I was really good at because I was like, I got a 9 to 5 job, I got it covered now. But that's what us 90s teenagers were raised. We were raised to believe that we can give up our talents and still be okay with a 9 to 5 job. Now, a lot of us who was teenagers in the 90s, now we're like, oh, we see we was hoodwinked. So now a lot of us is like, oh, I'm trying to do side hustles. Why do you think now there's a lot of middle-aged people doing stuff on YouTube? They got YouTube channels. Hi, everybody. You know, I find that I decided if I spend my money now, it's going to be into something. Everything that I buy better be connected to my purpose, or I'm not buying it. Like, the days is over. We're spending money for fun. It's just just on some fun, just some petty stuff that we like. Like, oh, I'm gonna get this because I like it. No, them days is over. It's like if I'm not gonna use it for my purpose, for my side hustle, it's not even worth my time. And I'm having this talk because there's temptation. There's temptation to go to the 9 to 5 job. When people quit things that aren't working out, like people are doing right now, during the shift, they say, I'm just gonna go back to the 9 to 5 job. See, that's going back to what's familiar. You could go back, but that you already know 9 to 5 job. So it needs to be plan B. I figured it out. When people get rich, it's because they're willing to try anything. Like, they be trying anything. They just don't do the 9 to 5 job. They don't just keep doing what's familiar. There's a guy who made a lot of money off of something stupid he did with a banana. But you just never know where you can get money to escape the 9 to 5 slave life. I can't believe that they still got bingo. Like, I feel so sad for those people at bingo. I feel so sad for them because some of them are spending their disability checks at the bingo game. Just for a brief moment of thinking, believing in the impossible. And I think that's very sad because there's no guarantee that anyone's going to keep their disability check. That there's no guarantee that the disability office will never crash. So it's just ridiculous that people are being brainwashed to spend their disability checks on gambling. I wouldn't even spend more. The most I would ever spend, and I really feel like $10 to $20 is enough. That's it. Because that's what you would spend if you went to the movies. If you went to the movies, you would buy a movie ticket and some popcorn. $20. So if it costs more than $20 to play bingo, more than $20 at a casino, I'm not going. I look at it like going to the casino is no different than going to the movies. Once, we're allowed to have some fun with our money every now and then. I'll take my $20 and I'll go up and play this little casino machine at the local grocery store. But I'm gonna look at it like it's just fun. I'm going to the show, or I went to Kennywood. I went to the amusement park. If I look at it like I really need to play this machine and see if I can win some money, it's going to get toxic. All right, bye everybody. You know what I found out? I figured it out. Like, you can use your fun money. You can use your fun money to do activities that could bring you money, but that's not why you're doing the activities. Like, I literally figured that out. Like, just make sure there's a possibility that you could get money if you spend your money on it. So, for example, if you spend your money on going to the movies, you need to make sure that you have a lifestyle channel, like where you're doing videos that have to do with movies. So that you can, possibly get monetized on YouTube. You had fun, but you also possibly have a chance of making money. This is how you got to do it now. It's a shame that we can't just go out here and have fun and don't have to worry about using our fun to get money, and just go to our 9-to-5 job. We can't do that no more. Our fun has to be recorded, photographed, so we can use it someday to get money. That's just how bad this our country is doing us. Desperate times take for desperate measures. That's desperate measures to monetize your fun time. But what else can we do if the 9-to-5 job ain't coming through? All right, bye everybody. If y'all enjoyed the video, I'm gonna do a part 2, y'all. Make sure you listen to the replay of this video, because I told y'all these videos tend to be deleted and blocked on YouTube. I'm going to redo the video where I talk about how the government's using the community to block our destiny. I might have to put the video elsewhere because it was blocked on YouTube. If you'd like to send donations, you can send donations to my Cash App at @Coach V Hunter or at my PayPal. Bye everybody. Thank you for your donations.